And we are now ready for our next speaker here on track one, Melissa Love. She's going to be talking about scaling your business using templates and semi-custom design. Now, Melissa is the CEO, the leader of the Design Space, which is a UK-based firm that creates better, affordable designs for people who need effective websites that work for their owners. And Design Space is like the IKEA of website template companies. And Melissa says on her website that she is your WordPress website phone a friend. I love that branding. It is amazing. Let's bring Melissa on and say hi. Melissa, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm actually over here in the States right now. I'm not normally, but I'm here in San Diego at a conference. So it's so good to be on the same time zone as everyone-ish.
Yes, that's so great. San Diego too. Wow, a little bit of a different vibe than the UK. A
Yeah,
little
I
more
love it. I love coming over here. Need no encouragement.
amazing. Great. Well, I am so happy that you're here. You've been part of the Kadence community, and I'm so grateful that you are here to share some of your expertise, some of your advice. If you have slides that you want to share, there's a present button down below that if you can click that and go ahead and select whatever screen that you have, and then I will end up having to add that to the session. I am going to show myself out and take a break and let you have the stage. And then in about 30 to 40 minutes, or however long your presentation, we have a full hour, but 30 to 40 minutes, however long your presentation takes. And then we'll have questions afterwards. And then I will come in and I just want to talk to you. Like I just talked to Dustin a minute ago, and you probably saw a little bit of that. And I'll just ask you some questions about your presentation, and also field some questions from the audience so that everybody can participate. And for those of you watching from home, from your office, from your car, from a coffee shop, wherever you are, you can ask your questions at any time whenever the thought occurs to you. You can go ahead and add that into the chat here on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching, and I will go ahead and star them in my secret system here and make sure that your question gets an answer. So with that, Melissa, I'm going to show myself out and add your screen share. It looks like you are sharing the same screen that has us on it. So if you can start your present, there we go. That way it won't do this infinity thing that makes us look like we're going to the moon.
Is that good?
That looks good. It looks beautiful.
Okay, fantastic.
Awesome.
Okay,
I will be back in a bit.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. And you'll have to excuse me. I've been at a conference for 2 days, so I've been talking to lots of people, so I might have to take the odd sip of water. But I'll start by just telling you a bit about myself. I've been in the WordPress space for, it must be 12 years or so now, maybe a bit longer. And in that time, I've developed this brand, which I was a web designer working with clients one-to-one. And the main significant part of what we do now is we sell WordPress themes, and we work with all the major page builders. I'm happy to say one of them is Kadence. That's probably our fastest growing product range at the moment. But I've been selling themes for quite a long time now. That's certainly a good 7 or 8 years, and it's taken me that time to build up for that to become a significant part of our revenue. So what this talk isn't about is about unlocking gazillions of dollars of sales and the magic bullet is selling templates. It's not, but I'm going to talk you through my journey, a little bit of how I came to where I am, and how we've made it a really significant portion of what we do. And I'm also a fully paid up WordPress nerd. I part own a couple of plugins. One of them is SitePresser, which if you're using Kadence, you don't need because it already has the incredible child theme tools. But for other page builders that we work with, like Divi or Elementor, we have a tool which helps you package them up for sale. And I'm also a part owner of Page Builder Cloud, which was kind of one of the leaders in cloud storage for all the different page builders. But and it's great. I'm really big fan of cloud storage. Great to see that I've got a fully paid up subscription to Kadence Cloud. So yeah, fantastic tool, and that's very much part of what we use now. So that's a little bit about me. And where I'm coming to you today really is to talk about something that's helped me get over burnout. So if you are a one-person band like I was for many years, and I was certainly niched down into a very specific sector. I built websites for photographers. And this is just a little bit about how you might be feeling if you are working, and you're really looking for a way to restructure your business that doesn't feel quite so pressured. And we're just going to get into that now. So this session is for you if you're spending all of your time on client work and none or not enough on your own business development. And we all know how that feels to be working in our business all of the time instead of being more strategic. You might be the bottleneck in your business as well because, you've only got 24 hours a day, your time is limited, and maybe you've hit your income ceiling of just how much you can earn by it just being you and your business. And then this is something I've really, really struggled with. You can't bring yourself to outsource because all of your work is custom and you really don't believe anyone else could reach your high standards. So that just kind of describes where I was kind of 8 years ago. I was working, as I said, in the photography niche, and I was well known in that niche, and it was great. And I had lots and lots of clients queuing up to work with me. I had a couple of lucky breaks and had a great reputation, but I just hit a wall. I had 2 young kids. I was staying up late at night juggling client work, and I was, I'd got to the point where I'd done so many photography websites. I was a little bit burnt out, and I just thought there has to be a better way. And that's when I started my template business. But it didn't all go kind of straight away off like a rocket. So I'll get onto that in a moment. But just a bit more on where you might be as well. And I think this is very much happens to people who work on their own. They're just kind of starting to grow their studio. I call it the feast or famine cycle. I didn't invent that, but you'll see this. Lots of people talk about this. But you might be here as well. So you're hustling for business. You're out there commenting on threads in Facebook groups, which, by the way, is a legitimately great way to get new business. But you might be feeling a bit desperate. This happens to us all when we know we need to bring sales in. So, you get some business, you book a client in and you dive into the project, and it's a big project and you're feeling good. There's some money coming. You work really, really hard trying to deliver, doing the client fulfillment, but you leave yourself with no time for marketing. Then, often towards the end of a big project or big couple of projects, you look up and take a breath and think, oh my God, I've forgotten to do marketing. I've been too busy building and delivering. And especially I do know, as someone who's creative, my background really is graphic design. I didn't love sales and marketing for a really long time. I kind of hoped, I just really wanted to be left alone to do my creative thing and hope people would, magically come along and put themselves in my sales funnel. But, as we know, it's a very competitive market. You need to be putting yourself out there. So that doesn't really happen that often. So, when you hit that time for money wall, I think I know personally it's a very difficult place to be when you're struggling and can't seem to get that balance. And you really do want a steady stream of leads, and you also want to kind of value what you do. So you don't want to lower your prices, but you still feel like you have to take every client that comes along. It's a tough place to be. And you've really only got a couple of options when you hit that time for money wall. One, you can try and generate some passive income. And I hesitate to use the term passive because actually, if you're doing any kind of passive income, like you are selling maintenance plans, so it's more like recurring revenue is the better term. So it's find some passive or recurring revenue. That's option one, and it could be maintenance plans, it could be hosting, it could be digital downloads like themes. So that's option one, and the other option is hire or outsource. And this is one where I kept falling over again and again. And believe me, I tried it. I had junior designers and I tried people who were freelancing. I tried hiring people from things like Upwork, and I just couldn't ever find the right person, because if they were fantastic at design, usually they had their own clients and were doing fantastically and they didn't need work from me. Or it was someone who I had to invest a significant amount of time in and pay for training and deliver training myself to get this person where I wanted. And of course, then they would become a great designer, and then they would leave and get their own freelance clients. So I got stuck in that for so long, trying to grow my team. I could see there was potential, but I couldn't see how to break free of this difficult dilemma. And, and I knew I was leaving money on the table. So I came up with the idea of productizing your business. So I want to just demystify the word productizing. It simply means making up a package of services which is scalable and replicable to the same standard. And this is where I'm going to hopefully demystify how we did this successfully without compromising on design standards. So when you can package up what you do and make it replicable, it gives you some really good mid-range options, and it means you can work with anyone no matter what their budget is. And I'm going to go into some detail about that in a second. It means your processes are speeded up, they are elevated, so you can get work done quicker and get paid faster, which is what we all want. And you can also outsource, and this was the biggie for me, without compromising on quality. So let's just dive into how that came about. So however many years ago it was, I was in that time for money hamster wheel, client site, and I was always looking for ways to speed things up. So I had kind of a happy accident. I already had like what I call my perfect install of WordPress set up on my server with all my favorite page builders and plugins and a few layouts, and all I'd have to do was clone that for a new client site. So that evolved over time. And then once I started working with, once I stopped hand coding websites like we all used to do and started working with page builders, I started thinking, there's a whole, and I started off with Divi was the first page builder I used, and I started noticing, actually, this is really easy to save layouts. And hang on, what if I saved all of the pages I wanted and made this kind of perfect template? So that's what I did. I had this kind of perfect starter website template that I could adapt for any client build. And then I was looking around, and back in the day, back at that time, Genesis was really popular. Before page builders came along, and people were selling child themes. I hadn't really heard the theme much beyond I always used a child theme. And then I thought, I wonder if I can package this up and sell it. So actually, at the time, I wrote to Nick Roach, he was the owner, he still is the owner of Elegant Themes. And I said, hey, Nick, you don't know who I am, but, I think I can package this up and sell it. Can I do that? Is that allowed? And he was like, yeah, go for it. Do what you want. I fully encourage that. So we actually were the very first company to ever sell any kind of third-party product for Divi. And, I'm not ashamed of it, but at the time, and still is, our themes are more expensive than an actual annual subscription to Divi. So there was lots of outrage, and people like, what? You can't be selling that. So as much as there was a little bit of that kind of outrage, lots and lots of people bought our themes. So we were very, very lucky that we were early to market. But I have to tell you, that doesn't happen to everyone. The market is now much more crowded, and that's why I just want to touch on the reality of passive income. So, I was lucky. Not only was I in a niche like photography, so I was selling themes for photographers only at that time. I had a track record because I had already been selling WordPress themes for another photography platform called ProPhoto and another one called Show It. So I had an infrastructure already to handle this kind of thing, and I had a mailing list. So we did have a good launch, but I just want to emphasize that, it didn't immediately replace all of our income at all. It was a lovely extra, but it did give us a way to kind of approach how we sold to everybody who could possibly want to work with us, because it helped us accelerate build time. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a little sip of water. Because we noticed that there were people who were coming to us and they were saying, I can't afford a full custom build, but I also don't want to just DIY one of your templates and do it myself because I want some more input than that. I don't, this isn't my forte. So this is, I started thinking, gosh, it's a shame that I'm saying to people, and at the time I was charging kind of £4,000 or £5,000 for a custom website. And there were people going, look, I've got £2,000. I just haven't got 4 or 5. And, I started to think there must be a way I can work with these people who have that kind of budget. So I started to put together a package which involved taking one of our templates and customizing it. This was still just me doing this, but I found that it accelerated the build massively. It saved me a good 2 or 3 days. So I could, for that amount of money, I was happy to customize the theme. And I was just trying out the price point at that point. I was just kind of working out what worked. So anyone can do this. You don't necessarily have to have templates that you sell in a store, but more power to you if you do. That's an extra stream of revenue. But what you can do is have your perfect template, and that gives you the leeway to be able to say to people, well, you can't afford my full custom build. You can afford choosing one of my templates that I use for my build and I can work with you at this price point. So this only works if you do have a finished template or theme to work with to accelerate the build. Otherwise, you are going to end up building a custom site for the price of not a custom build, and we don't want that. And on that note, this only really works as a system if you fully understand your strengths and capabilities to make sure you don't have scope creep. And this is things like when you do an audit, not auditing properly their site, so it turns out they've got 20 hidden pages that you didn't bank on doing. So you have to know how you're going to set your limits. For example, we say we will, when we do this, offer this kind of service in the middle, we do say we will only style the pages which you can see in the template. Anything over and above that will be charged at an extra rate. So this only fully works if you can understand your and you have a really good idea of how long it takes you to do something as well. So when you do these semi-custom builds, you do need to be really realistic. You don't want to be kind of working for peanuts. And on that note, I just want to encourage everyone, because I run a membership which has lots of web designers in, and the number one thing we talk about when they come to the coaching sessions are, what should I charge for this kind of project? I get asked that all the time. And the thing is, what you need is what I call the Studio Services Bible. So this is my Bible that I have, and I'm happy to, I'll write a blog post about it shortly to show you how it works, and then you can grab a copy of it. But what I do is I make sure absolutely everything that I will ever want to do or for a client is listed out here. So I've got this kind of my master Bible of every service I'm ever likely to be able to provide and how long it roughly takes me. So I do this for, I don't do it so much for our kind of middle of the road clients, which I'm going to talk about the process in detail in a minute, but I do this for every custom build. And what this does over time is gives you a really good idea of how long it takes you to do everything, to know whether the prices you're going to set that you're happy to work for, exchange time for money for, are going to work. So I'd highly encourage everyone to have a Studio Services Bible. And it just really helps you avoid, by the way, this is more for when you're doing a custom assessment or a semi-custom one, but it helps you to avoid the temptation to undercharge and stops you from throwing in a few extras, which I find is really common. So towards the end of a build, people are like, by the way, I've got this amazing lead magnet. Can you do an email sign up thank you page? And by the way, I need a sales page. So it's all of that kind of creep that we want to avoid. Again, obviously helps you price a custom proposal. So that was just a little slight detour into where things fall between people buying a template and doing it themselves versus where it sits in your offer versus completely custom. I included this because it always makes me laugh, but when you're creating your offer, you do need to be mindful of your time and people not taking advantage of you. So I just want to show you how we create our offer. So just to reiterate, there is that scale of DIY, template sales generating passive income. For us, that accounts for about 50% of all the business we do with all the different products we have. We have done for you the fully custom build, but for us, it's the magic happens in the middle package. This is what has allowed us to scale and productize what we do. So here's the kind of deliverables. If they're going to DIY it themselves, just going to buy a template and do it. They get free recorded training, and we offer unlimited, really great support. And that's a given. That's something, if you're going to sell templates, you need to be really on it with having systems that allow you to keep on top of support tickets and what have you. Obviously done for you, and I'm happy to give numbers. Our kind of custom sites start at around £5,000. They are normally for creative businesses and have quite a few pages, but it's there and upwards. But in the middle, what people get is they've got three options. They can have a simple install. They want to kind of DIY it, but they want the basic setup, like their logo and their colors. Or we can do an install and style where we're going to do more than logo, colors, and pages. We're going to also input their content, but we're not going to deviate from the from the template. And that, just to give you a pricing option, that install and style is around the £1,500 mark. It's limited to 10 pages, and there isn't much leeway. It's just literally plugging in, copying images. But for us, which is working fantastically for us, is what we call semi-custom build. And this is a great process. Here's how it works. This isn't the way we do it isn't necessarily for the faint-hearted. So what happens is people do a series of guided exercise for the semi-custom process, all about their brand and the intention of their website. It's a really deep dive questionnaire. And we do some homework that they have to do on Pinterest, and we do all sorts of other things. And our VIP days often include branding as well. So we include that. They can do that extra. But we have a live design process where we're going to create them a custom homepage, because a lot of the impact of a website website comes from the homepage. So we think this is the biggest win for someone who wants to really elevate a template that they've purchased, because nobody wants to kind of use a template as a base and it looks like everyone else. This gives people an absolutely top-notch, amazing homepage, which is completely custom to them. And I do it live in front of the client. And in Illustrator, I know you're like going, oh, I don't want the client watching me. And you don't have to do it like that. But what you can still do is do the VIP day, where they make themselves available to you for the whole day. And you can just dip in and out of meetings where you go away, do the next stage, etc. So it's very, very accelerated. Not for everyone. You might want to do it over a series of days. So by the end of that day, and this is something I always do. I do that work. This is the bit where I need to hang on to the creative control, and it works absolutely brilliantly because it really suits everyone on the team. We'll talk about how that works now. So I do the homepage, the brand guide. I evolve that to make sure the team have got a really strong guideline. We then work out what's the best template from our store that's going to fit their inner pages, and I hand that off to them. This is why it works really well, because in my team I have designers who don't love the high pressure creative part, like coming up with the custom homepage or a brand. That's a little bit out of their comfort zone, but they are brilliant web designers. So they kind of love it when I say, here is the custom website homepage, you build that. They don't have to think about it. A couple of them said to me, wow, it's actually really relaxing because I don't have to do any of that stressful creation. It's like almost like doing a jigsaw puzzle. I just have to put it together in the right way. So, for me, that allows me to do the thing that I'm best at, where I don't want to compromise on my design standards. For them, the pressure is off. They can just enjoy the build. And that was when we started working this out. This is where I saw that this really had the capacity to scale, because I wasn't going to trust the most important part of the process. I didn't have to outsource that. So they complete the inner pages. Then we do kind of testing, training with the client, and we have a little launch, send them a card, and have a little celebration when they go live. And here's just some examples of a template on the left and the kind of custom homepage we've built on the right. So some of them look similar, and some of them end up looking completely different. But it's what gives people that feeling of this is actually a really affordable piece of luxury design, and it sets the tone for the rest of the site. And and it's then very easy for my team to follow up behind and do the kind of inner pages design. So just to summarize this, it allows you to show up and do what you're best at, and it takes the creative pressure off your team, which is really, really important. It allows you to maintain the design standards, the thing that I struggled with. I now don't have to compromise on, because I'm the one who delivers that key piece of design work. And even with outsourcing the build to a team, we achieve good profit margins around the 50% mark. But obviously, that's without overhead, and that's just based on that sale before tax. So let's talk about some real monthly numbers, and and hopefully you'll see where this can stack up. So on my own, if I was on my own and I didn't have a team, I reckon I could do 2 semi-custom builds, and we charge £4,000 for that. And I reckon I could do those in a 4-week turnaround. So I could probably do 2 a month. So that's £8,000. At 50% profit, I'm making 4K. That's if you chose to outsource it at set rates. So you could actually, in theory, if you felt you could do 4 VIP days in a month, that's really only what's going to hold you up. But if you think about it, if you're making that 4K a month, and then you add in upgrades for branding or custom, you're going to have some custom elements. Maybe you offer maintenance and hosting plans. And if you think you've got template sales on top of that, no matter how small in your business, you can see how very quickly these numbers add up to a serious amount of money, and you start hitting that 6-figure studio revenue level, and it's great. And that's exactly what happened to me. I started to do some bigger numbers, and now with a bigger team, we are able to. This doesn't account for all of the basic installs we do, which is basically infinitely scalable, and it doesn't account for the custom work we do too. So this is a really great way to make sure you can work with someone no matter what their budget is. So what I thought I'd do now is I'm just going to escape out of here, because I just wanted to show you how. Hopefully you can see that still. Let me just have a look in the comments. Can you still, yeah, it looks like an infinite thing. I'm just going to assume, unless I hear anything different, that you can see this. I just wanted to show you how we handle the processes. It's really, really important. And the first thing I just wanted to show you with it starts with our Hire Us page. And I just wanted to, if you've never written a sales page, this is for your website design business. This is the one to do it if you want to really get people to understand the value. So one of the things that makes this particularly popular as a service is we guarantee a 30-day turnaround, which people really like. I know you will know as web designers, as excellent web designers, that you do come across clients who've worked with a web designer before and it's taken forever, etc., etc. So we like to be that agency which can guarantee that kind of turnaround, and we set up the value proposition on the sales page. We call them out. They're not ready to invest in a completely custom website built. They want to launch it quickly, and the way we kind of handle this kind of funnel is we lay out the process, by the way, really clearly. So this really helps later with scope creep. You've already laid out how it happens and put some restrictions, and we cover a lot down here in the FAQs as well, and there's some social proof. And this is just if you are doing sales page for this kind of scenario where potentially someone is going to want to jump on a sales call with you. This is a little piece. This is a tool I use called Video Ask. It's asynchronous video, and it's really, really useful for starting sales conversations. So people can listen to, I'm not going to press it now, but people can listen to a question from me where I say, tell us how we can help you, or if there's any information you need. And they can leave a voice note, they can leave a video, they can just leave a typed message, and it comes to a little app on my phone. So I get those notifications straight away. Just means that I don't have, if I'm out and about, I can shoot them a quick voice message, and then and answer any pre-sales questions. Then below that, they can book a call. So that's how we kind of capture. We're pushing people towards that middle package on our website above all things, because it's profitable, it's easy, and it plays to our strengths. When we can only handle a certain number of custom builds due to the size of the team, and but this kind of positions our service in a really affordable way, and it's been a very successful sales page. And then I just wanted to just show you and how we handle this as a team to make sure that it's really, really slick, because this kind of thing where you're starting to scale, you have to make sure you have really slick systems. So we have this project management tool called Plutio, and that just happens to be the one we use. You could be using Dubsado or ClickUp or anything that's got any kind of task management. Believe me, we tried quite a lot. We were using ClickUp for a long time, but clients didn't like it. There was some kind of pushback on it, but we now use this system. It's very visual. These are just little images I've uploaded, so the client can see they're going to go through this process, all the timings, they're going to work from left to right, this is when they need to make payments, etc., etc., and they can see all the due dates. And we also have plenty of we have important links that we all can find as a team. People can leave notes for each other. So when I finish a phase, when I've done the VIP day, it's really easy to tag the next team member who's up to do the inner pages website build, and then tick them off so we can all see where we're at. We also have a secret team board which we use for communications between ourselves that the client doesn't need to see. So that was just a little bit of behind the scenes of how we've achieved what we do. And let me just see if I can go back to my. There we go. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so that was kind of how we put our offer together, the sales pitch, and how we managed the design process, which we've already had. So if this is something you're starting to think, actually, this could really work for my business, where to start would be just make sure you really understand your base rate. So we actually have a kind of overall chargeable base rate of £500 per half day. So any project that's looking to creep outside that scope, that amount of revenue, we know that we either haven't priced it properly, or we need to go back and talk to the client. And we do this, as I said, with having our studio services Bible to make sure we don't get any scope creep. I would, if you're interested in working towards templates in your business, start building a master template as you work by saving layouts. Now, obviously, Kadence Cloud is perfect for that. You can save pages, sections, so you've got this perfect set of layouts, things ready to go. And I strongly encourage you to pull those together into a template that you can sell standalone. And I'm very happy to give advice on any of that if people are looking to get into the template sales game. Yeah, so use your template as much as you can, make it neutral so it's very easy for you to adapt, refine it with real clients, get feedback on it. don't do what I did. I waited till I had 10 finished designs, which I didn't really get anyone to test. I launched them all on the same day, nearly had a breakdown. So definitely don't do that. Just start with your minimum viable product and start putting it out there. Once you've got your process nailed, I did this on my own for a really long time, doing these semi-custom builds with my VIP day, and I worked out how many I could handle and how long it would take me. And I didn't start to outsource that once until I'd got my process nailed and I knew exactly how many hours it should take someone to do it. So that meant I could have fixed costs. I could pay people on a per project basis. So it wasn't kind of a trading. People could handle projects at their own speed, basically, who I was going to outsource to. So you need to know that process inside out and how long it's going to take before you can outsource it and cost it properly. Right. So that brings us to kind of towards the end, but there's only quite a lot of questions about this, which I'm really happy to do. If you'd like to download this presentation or rewatch it, you can go to that page on my website, Kadence-offer. There's also kind of an offer if you want to look into buying a template to speed up building your website. But there's also quite a lot of signposting to free resources that I have. The other one I'd point you to is SitePresser, the plugin that I part own. If you go to /ready, I wrote the most extensive ebook I could think of, which covers everything I know about selling templates over the course of the last 7 years, from how to develop your template to how to package it up to what you need to consider in terms of licensing and all of that stuff. So if you want a really thorough exploration of that, feel free to go and grab those resources. And I'm really easy to find online. I run a group on Facebook called Grow Your Web Design Business with Melissa Love. You can find me there, or in the Design Space Lounge. You'll find our whole team in there. So if you've got questions about anything to do with packaging themes or using them, or we're happy to answer questions at any time. And just reach out to me. I'm happy to be emailed or jump on a call if there's something that you want to know. Right, I am going to just come out of here and stop sharing. There, brilliant. That seems to have worked. So let me just have a look at the comments. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. I am catching up. I'm trying to get your links. I had to go load the screen because I wasn't typing fast enough. So it's sitepresser.io/ready is where we're going,
that's
right?
That's for the template.
Okay. Perfect. I just wanted to make sure I got those into the chat. So whether you're on Facebook or you are on YouTube, you should find that in the chat on the side there. So we have some great comments. You talked about really knowing what it is that you want to do for clients, and our friend Stanley Kubrick, which I'm going to guess is his alter ego, but had some that's great advice, because I ran an agency years and years ago, and part of the problem was I was always trying to fit myself into what the customer or what my clients wanted me to do, and there was scope creep and everything. And if I got to first of all, if there were the tools that we have today, life would have been different, but there weren't. And I really needed to, at that young age, turn the tables on what is it that I really want to do for my clients? What brings me joy in seeing their success and how I can contribute to it? I've kind of found my space here now, but in an agency world, there's such a temptation to having to be all things to everyone, the jack of all trades, master of none. And you kind of lose yourself in that a little bit. And so that what you talked about in terms of really knowing what offering is going to suit you as the agency owner, so important.
Yeah. And I think we always worry about over promising. There's also that pressure to take on projects, even if you don't know if you can quite pull it off. And I still do take on the odd bill like that where I think marginal, I'll probably have to hire someone in to do this special thing. And that's all good character building stuff, but it is better if your bread and butter is something that you have really full confidence about your ability to deliver and that suits you.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think that one of my last projects was build a search engine for a government database. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, gosh, I don't even want to. You can't pay me enough to do this. I just don't want to. So yeah, it's really knowing yourself and not trying to take, sure you can do things, but is it going to bring you joy in the process of doing it? And I think that's really, really important. We have a great comment from Susan telling us that this was an excellent presentation. And we've got another comment from Kelly that she is interested in the Studio Services Bible. And maybe you can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So I have it split down into all the things we don't tend to price for, like client discovery, pre-build consultations, preparing contracts. And I put those, so I have the kind of pre-build stuff, then I have build stuff. And that includes things like the number of what I call long form pages, like a home page, maybe an about page, a services page, and a sales page. They're set at the number of hours that typically takes us or me as a designer or for the team. Then I cost out all the inner pages, which are smaller and don't take a lot of time, things like the contact page and relatively. And then I also list any add-ons like installing WooCommerce, or we do a lot of membership content sites. So installing plugins and testing, and then I have all what I call the post-launch stuff or pre-launch, but redirections, SEO. When you do a rebuild, we do a full audit of their content to make sure we're not kind of destroying that on-page SEO by changing all their H tags. So all of that takes a lot of time. I allow for a full half day for a migration and go live in case anything, not that it does. I don't know why I think it's going to go wrong. It never does. But, I like to be thorough when I launch a site for a client. I like to have time in hand. So it's really everything you can ever think of and your standard amount of time for doing it. And it's just a bit of a sanity check. So then I can go down and kind of tick the boxes to say, yes, they're having this. And it spits out a number at the bottom, which from time to time, you put your hourly rate, plus I put the rate at which I outsource it so I can see the profit on a project at a glance. And you either kind of look at it. Sometimes I look at it with a bit of sticker shock and I think, I did this recently. I quoted for a big project. It came in around £36,000, which I've got to emphasize, this does not happen very often. That's not the kind of scale of business we tend to be, but we've taken on this big project. It's gone like a dream. But a lot of that accounted for outsourcing things I didn't or want to do or worry about that needed a specialist. So the specialist coding wasn't my bag. So I kind of had all that built in. And of course, it just stopped me from underquoting. So, there's nothing worse than when you've underquoted and you're like, God, I'm outsourcing this. And this is taking my time just to research this. It's a sanity check. And when I went back through that big quote, I thought, no, that is right. No, that is the amount of money I want to earn from this project.
Right. And it gets you a little bit, it's a comfort zone thing. It's like, oh, okay, well, here's what it's going to be. But you have to like stretch yourself and really be realistic when you're looking at those kinds of things. I think there's a tendency a lot of times of like, okay, this is what I feel like this should cost, but the numbers are telling me otherwise. And then it's always good to do like a gut check of, taking yourself out of what feels comfortable to you and really putting yourself in that position of what is realistic. If this was somebody else doing it, not, and a lot of times I think we want to be of service and we want to provide value. And it's not really until you get that project done that you can really see, oh my gosh, I have provided so much value. When you're envisioning the project, it's difficult to kind of future cast that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. We have another question from Mike about getting client content. Is that hard for you too?
No, because I'm horrible about this, right? I'm so tough on people. When people book at every stage, from that sales page I showed you, it says we'll need your content. When we have a sales call, I'm saying, obviously, we can't start your project till we have all of your content, and we have to have it because otherwise, we'll end up having to maybe redesign a page twice, and that will cost you extra money. It doesn't work for anyone. But of course, if you miss your slot because you're not ready, you will have to, you'll probably go to the back of the queue, which will be like 3 months we tend to book about 3 months out. So I kind of really lay on the expectation that they'll need to be ready. And we've tried to make them do it our way. And we have had some resistance to that. So we now offer 3 different ways. They either say, my current site is great, take everything off there, or they go and fill out our Google documents, but we have them laid out the way we want them to complete them. Or for some people who it's a bit of a hybrid. We use markup.io, so people can, we encourage them to go, if they need to see their site mocked up first, so we do the custom homepage, build it, we do the inner pages, we style them with their colors and their fonts, etc., and we put their content in roughly. They can then go in and submit the actual copy on top of the screen, and that's been, we certainly use that for all of the proofing. Once we've got the majority of copy into a site, no matter where it's come from, we use markup, and we will only do that. We will only communicate via markup, and we will only communicate via Plutio. We don't let them email us. They can't Facebook message us. They're not in Slack. We push everybody into that Plutio so that there's no avoiding it. And if they do email us directly, we always very kindly go, oh, thank you so much, but I need the whole team to see this comment. So would you mind? Right. I'm going to go and repost your question in Plutio. So I'm quite tough about managing our processes and their expectations.
Great. A relevant question from Susan. Do you also use Plutio for invoices or any kind of that billing information?
I do kind of. I create the invoice in Plutio, but I have it hooked up via Zapier to go into Xero, which is what we use for accounting, to create a copy of it for my accountant to then reconcile. So it's not a two-way sync, but they see the invoice. It's all bank transfer, pretty much. Okay. So yeah, we do use it more so that they're encouraged to know that everything's in one place. And you can embed their shared Google folder, so they just know everything's in there. And
amazing. Yeah, Susan has a comment about putting fake content into the design block to get them to do it. Yeah, there was something that somebody wrote, like if you need to answer of a question, like programmatically, you like, how does this function work or something, to not like go ask the question, but to go be wrong about it. And everybody wants to correct the wrong person, right? So it's almost like this inverse thing, like don't try to do it right, do it wrong, and then they'll correct you. They'll definitely do that. Exactly. Another comment from Vivian, do you write content for your customers or do you ask them to handle that?
I have an in-house copywriter who's excellent. So if you ever read any of our emails or see the cool copy on our website, it's a mixture of me and her, and I actually can't tell she writes just like me now. So we have a very good copywriter that we do. So we do offer her out, but generally all of our themes, so as we're talking about this kind of middle service, they come with copywriting prompts. So it'll say, use this paragraph to explain the following points, X, Y, and Z. This or a heading will say, explain how you help them to do X thing without feeling Y thing. So we give people really strong copy prompts on the pages. So they often will then go and look at their old copy from their existing site and then go and plug it in using our guidelines. So often people say, actually, your prompts are enough. I feel confident that I can go and have a bit of a rewrite using your guidance there, or actually, can you do it for us? So
amazing. Great. Good guidance. A couple more comments. Tina says that this opens up a whole new world of possibilities to explore. So that's good to hear. Nice to hear those positive comments. And Kelly says that she has a simpler version of what you've been doing, but she's not using it to the fullest. So you've really inspired her to think about her business in a new way, which I know is exciting when you present something like this and you're like, okay, I figured out the system and it's really working for us. And then you hear somebody else saying, oh my gosh, that's going to work for me too. I know that's probably great for you to hear that you have inspired some of our audience here. And Monica wants to know the name of the program that you're using to make edits to the marked up website.
It's markup.io. And that there's a few different kind of software options for doing that, but we found that's really simple for the clients to understand it. Just on pricing as well, like that, if people are getting excited about working with those clients who either previously said, no, that's too much, but you weren't prepared to lower your prices, don't be afraid to, I'm very upfront with them about the process, but I'm also really upfront about the cost. And at the end of a sales call, I say, listen, it's awkward talking about money. I'm going to be sending you a proposal with all of the options we offer. And I also say, but if you have a specific budget, for example, £1,000, I can come back to you and tell you what we can achieve for that budget and what you would have to do yourself. So our minimum booking is a half day at £500, but they might just say, look, I've got 1,500. What can I get for that? And I'll say, what are your priorities during a sales call? Oh, you do want the custom homepage? Great. Then we can then we can cut it this way. We can do the custom homepage in a day, which is £1,000, and then with the remaining £500, we can install it for you, and then you're going to do the rest. So it gives you that flexibility to price with you still getting paid for the number of hours you do in a way and meeting the rate that you really want, but you can meet people's budgets. So it doesn't all have to be packaged up. You can be flexible, basically.
Great. Now, how has this changed your business? And because the fact that you have this kind of almost Lego like you can build out these kinds of packages based on where your customers are, how has it changed your business being able to be a little more flexible with where people are at? Has it are you finding getting you more clients? Are you finding yourself being a little more selective about clients? Has it changed any of your mindset?
It has. It's meant I don't take every custom job if it's not a good fit, because I know that the middle package is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of revenue. So it means that we're now taking on these bigger builds with much bigger revenue, which I tend to focus on, and then the rest of the team takes the weight of the semi-custom things. I just need to make sure I haven't overloaded myself with custom work, because it's not everything I do. I need to have a couple of days a week to work on sales and marketing and other things in the business. So as long as I'm preserving my time, at the moment, the custom work we do and the semi-custom projects are limited by my time, but I also have another couple of designers who are getting so good at them that might be something that we can scale up. Certainly those middle projects, which are, there's no custom input from me, those are infinitely scalable, because, we've got a team of designers, but I know I can easily recruit more, because it's not that I'm not looking for them to deliver that custom work to my standard, which I'm really picky about. So I'm looking for designers who are comfortable working with doing white label customization of templates, and that there's lots of people who enjoy doing that work, and so that's where it's working really well for us. That's the really scalable bit.
Amazing. Great. Okay. Carrie is asking about creating Kadence child themes. Would SitePresser be good for this? And do you have a course or outline for the process of creating child themes? I'll answer the child themes part. We have a video that talks about how to do this. And then we've got a number of people in the Facebook group, the Kadence Facebook group, that will have tutorials, and there's guidance and everything. We are looking at doing like a more advanced kind of step-by-step process, but there are tons of YouTube videos of people who are doing this. But if you could address some of the SitePresser and talk a little bit about that.
I don't use my own product for packaging up Kadence child themes, because the child theme installer is already built. So there was, and it's really effective. So there was no need to do that. I suppose it could come into play because we also support WooCommerce and a few other things. So it might make a tidier package, and it does support Kadence. But with the Kadence ones where there's add-ons, I tend to include more tutorials about how to, if they want to install WordPress, they need to do X, Y, and Z. But in terms of getting to the point where you're ready to package something up, if you go to the sitepresser.io/ready and get the ebook, that will tell you the planning of one. How do I select themes, and styles, what works for your audience, where you can find places to sell, all the kind of getting ready to package it up is in that ebook.
Great. Cool. Another question. Are you doing just Kadence? Are you doing Divi? And just because this is Kadence Amplify, anything that's working, there's no you don't have to, don't answer it for me.
Oh, no. Kadence is kind of, historically, we've done Divi, and 2 or 3 years ago we introduced Elementor, but Kadence is kind of where we're focusing on right now. I'm obviously very interested in anything. The enhanced block builder experience is awesome. I don't ever like to have all my eggs in one basket, but Kadence is what we're getting the most requests for custom builds and semi-custom builds. So
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and we're working on a kind of cloud product as well. So
amazing. Really cool. Very exciting. And you're going to be very excited about all of the fun things that are coming with Kadence blocks. And if you're still around, hang out for Ben's presentation later. It'll be in the same track, because he's going to show some of the fun stuff. You're going to love it, Melissa. I can tell. You'll be very, very excited. And then Attila, do you offer hosting as part of your design package? And if yes, who do you use? What's your preference there? Everybody wants to talk about hosting all the time.
I don't, because years and years ago, because I'm an idiot, I thought it was something that I would not be interested. I just picked myself being asked really difficult hosting questions at 2 a.m. and thinking, like I just didn't want the stress of it. Looking back at it now, I've built websites for thousands of people, and I should have done that, because then I'd have a hefty recurring revenue model, but I didn't do it. So I do have some regret about that. So, but in other ways, no, because it's not something, I'd have outsourced it anyway. I don't like updating people's sites, or it doesn't thrill me. So rightly or wrongly, that was the decision I made.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to do operations for a company, and I was babysitting 50 servers, and when little Bobby server had a tummy ache at 3 a.m., that was not I already raised my kids, like, "What am I doing here? This is not fun." Some people love that kind of stuff, and to those people, I will raise a toast to them, but I'm with you,
Yeah.
not for me. Rob, Karen has said this is a great talk. So you're definitely hitting all of the right notes for everyone. Is there where should people follow you on the socials? Where should they get connected? I know we've got some sites in the chat, but is there a newsletter that you offer? Any kind of way to stay connected to you?
Yeah. If you go to the Kadence offer page on my website, the link that was shared before, there's everything. You can sign up for we have this famous Monday newsletter, which normally involves humiliating stories about my adventures in design or or running a business. And there's a special offer, and you can get this hold of this presentation. So that's probably the best place to go. And you can click through to our socials and come and find us.
Amazing. Great. Melissa, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wisdom, your experience, and just some guidance. Such good information here. I know running a web development business can be very challenging. You have to know yourself, you have to know your clients, you have to know what you want to do, you have to have strong and healthy boundaries. So you've shared a lot of great insight that is going to help a lot of people just, I think, build better sites and live a happier life doing it. So
Yeah, so all about being happy.
exactly. I hope you enjoy your stay in San Diego. I can tell the air is a lot drier drier on the California coast than it is in the UK with I hope that the cough clears up for you and you have
That's
a
just from
great.
talking too much. I'm good.
Is it
I'm
okay? Yeah, it's definitely drier in California. So anyway, I am gonna let you go for your busy day so that you can enjoy more of California.